was around 1984 when camcorders first began to take off, but George Orwell's vision of a big brother with that camera in every room, recording every action, controlled by the state, didn't quite turn out as planned. There are now 2 million homes in this country with video cameras inside them, but those cameras are controlled by individuals, and it's the people who control what they record. Over the last 12 years, the cost and size of cameras has dropped to the point where almost anyone can get hold of this technology. People use it to record the events of their lives, holidays, weddings, even births. For others, though, the video camera is more than just a passive record. They use it to document and publicise their argument and achieve their aims. They use it actively to expose the truth. Trouble is, when everyone has a camera, whose truth are you going to believe?
Can't she speak for herself? She was on the started it. I see her opening her mouth now. She's fucking out now, doesn't she? Hey, Andrew! Stop it now! Stop it! Hang it in! Dad, just stop it.
Few issues divide the British as keenly as hunting. Both sides claim the moral right. Both sides say they love animals and both want to preserve the countryside. The League Against Cruel Sports have been using video for over 6 years to monitor the hunt without disrupting it and document what they see as the abuses to wildlife.
Good kill. Horses. Very, very good kill. Yep, thank you. Very, very
Cal,
Sorry, are you threatening us?
you put that video on me.
Sorry, we're filming the hunt in general.
Just put the video
Would you
on
like to tell these police officers you're
me. Why
threatening
don't you
us?
fuck off?
Would you like to tell them
Why
that?
don't you fuck off, you shits?
Listen, if you threaten us...
You do more harm. You know what you do? Burn kennels down, do you?
Sorry, we're the League Against Cruel Sports and we don't
Why don't
enjoy...
you fuck off?
We don't enjoy
Fuck
being
off.
threatened.
You've got it till January, and after January you're going to get a present from me. I'm prepared to do 25 years for you.
Got this on video?
Put that on fucking tape.
What's your name, love? What's your name?
Put it on tape.
It's on tape. We've got it. We've got you and all.
The League Against Cruel Sports use material like that to argue their case. Video cameras have been around for a long time, but it's only recently that they've become part of the standard kit of hunt protesters. But as they have turned to video, so too have the supporters of the hunt. This tape shows the entrance to a meet in Northamptonshire from the point of view of a hunt supporter. The saboteurs are trying to prevent her and her 2 colleagues from reaching the meet with a camera. In the end, they succeeded in stopping her, and this is the only footage that she came away with.
What's the point? What are you actually stopping us filming at the moment?
I want to be filmed, that's why.
Well, why not?
Keep walking out, keep walking.
Yeah, Alison.
Alison, hold on tight, keep walking.
This is Alison.
Yeah, keep walking.
Nice to meet you, Alison.
Keep walking out, keep walking.
So, hello, Alison. Got lots of batteries in there, have you?
If you were in the right, you wouldn't be ashamed of what you were doing. You obviously are. Because you'd want to be videoed doing it if you were proud of what you were doing. Watch out, Spence, watch the back.
No, keep walking, keep going, keep walking.
But why don't you want us to video what you're doing if you're proud of it?
What's the problem?
Piss off. I'll get out of here, are you?
Yeah, well, we might just be considering it.
Get out of it.
We might just be considering
Just get out of it.
The 150 of us, you fucking sense.
it. Yeah, I think we're just about to.
Go now.
Move. Police!
Leave.
Over.
Are you with her? Yes.
All right. That was assault.
For material like this, the British Field Sports Society produced a professionally edited video, which, accompanied by the group's literature, was used to argue the case against hunt sabotage and to persuade Parliament to introduce the new criminal offence of aggravated trespass.
A publicly stated ambition of the saboteurs is to drive hunting underground and frighten supporters away. There is still a misconception amongst officialdom that saboteurs are peaceful, animal-loving protesters. Numbers of well over 150 saboteurs have been recorded, making it very difficult to police. We believe that if these kind of incidents were to occur in towns, there would be a public outcry. So we believe that either the existing law should be properly enforced, or the law should be strengthened to stamp out this rash of violence in the countryside.
Increasingly, the battle for the hunt has become a battle for publicity. Another anti-field sports organisation, the Wildlife Action Group, began filming hunts to record breaches of the hunt's licence. By the official Forestry Commission rules, the animal has to be killed swiftly by the huntsman and not the hounds. The Wildlife Action Group claims that often the huntsman arrived at the scene of the kill too late to call off the pack. In order to prove that, they had to get there first.
Lock him up, stay with him!
He's very, very close now. Seconds behind him.
The group's footage was to work both as evidence and publicity for their cause. To put pressure on the authorities, they released their video to the media.
You may be disturbed by some of the pictures in this report.
Using camcorders and stills cameras has been really vital part of our campaign. I mean, personally, I've been sabbing for 12 years, and it's only in the last, not even 12 months that I've been using a video. You see fantastic direct action when you actually save a life, but to be able to record that and then show that to people, I mean, it's an old cliche, but the pictures say more than words ever can.
The group's record of events was so damning that it led to the New Forest buck hunt being banned for a day, a result rarely achieved through sabotage. Indeed, the Wildlife Action Group have now abandoned physically disrupting the hunts entirely. They now visit the meets purely to record and then publicise what they see. After the break, we go to Tibet, take over an office, uncover some toxic waste, celebrate the supremacy of the white race, and hear a Bolivian mother-in-law joke set to music. See you then. Production values. That ad was seen by millions on Channel 4, UK Gold and the Discovery Channel. Unfortunately, it was also seen by a part-time language teacher in London who checked up on all the claims, noted they were virtually all inaccurate and told the ITC, who promptly banned it. Turns out that despite the attractive ethnic music and a happy little rodents, Indonesia's record in ecology, Terry Brooks argued, is not quite as pure as they made out. She got together with some friends and distributed this response. For centuries, Tibet was a closed community, sealed off from the outside world by its geography and its culture. In 1950, China invaded and Tibet disappeared altogether from world news as Peking imposed a complete news blackout. Liberalisation came in the 80s, but the control over information continues. The Chinese government say it has impounded at least 14,000 audio and video cassettes in the last 10 years, and almost no letters or videos succeed in travelling out of the country. Operating in total secrecy and working alone, one Tibetan national travelled hundreds of miles and risked his life to refute the claims made by China that it's conserving the natural resources of Tibet. This is the first time this evidence has been seen on British television, or indeed anywhere in the world.
다들 자기들의 제대로 답되고 싫으면서 때마다 동북거리면 생중딩이 자네 되는 주네. 아우다 직통으로 모사 잠잠 신하라지. 잠잠다 저보다 당하시고 가를 소주. 아니 동학 된달다 신시 이비치 소주 동학 된달 소신시 이비치래. 텐트리도 되면 마음버려야지 내가 됐어 봐다. 먼저 벽 동네도 봐. 제시도 봐 쇼도지. 좀 없잖아, 텐트 레와 텐트 텐트. 지금 도과 잡으러지. 디마지나 만들 봐. 그래서 간가야. 잠은 놓고 됐어. 잠은 누구냐? 나 나서야 군도 나선다. 뭐 깔면 지깔면 내 줄나 루고 와. 뒤에서 뒤 수당 집은 다단디. 칸이버들이. 칸이버들이 다른 샤스트 콜 투스만. 칸이버지. 그 상황을 좀 주의. 그건 뒤추천 주도 뒤 접들다. 나는 양목에 그래서 신경 쓰는 놈 자시다 통문도 하거든요. 당연히 배운 남한테다 주노트 근데 찍고. 그러나 소수 통배는 오늘 미모야. 쓰고서야. 제 자고다. 자민들 드리치 된 주체. 나타버려 찾으나더니 자민들 가서 라노코시. 라노구이 가서 아니 시간 거 주고 말거든. 자민들레브레스. 세지마도다. 리체스. 간간데 잡으. 신기에나 디나기 간 배치받아 되는 강냐다. 뭐시였다. 뒤에는 집 수적다. 그나 신기에는 집에 나와서는 이거다. 제비는 다들 이거 수적다. 마크 모자마자 자몽 모자마자 제가 통했어요 말이라. 농것. 가지는 잠이 가을에 가지 모든 게 여기 오고래. 가지는 신자 오고래다 너나. 다 별이야지 집에는 주지하고 지어서. 별된 다들 공주도 변는 뒤에서로가 그래서 땅은 주된. 주된 신감됐다. 모든 되는 줄데. 가르치 도구도다. 와도 다 딘지는 거 뭐는 봐. 달로 나기 오면은 다 벳. 한테 기도.
In the UK, getting the message out presents a rather different set of problems. How can you get attention for your cause? How can you stand out against the thousands of other campaigns? And how can you catch the eye of the people who could change things? Well, you could try popping in for a chat. These are the offices of TradeLink, which imports mahogany from Brazil. Campaigners believe this trade amounts to robbery of the native tribes there.
Could I explain to you that what's happening in Brazil is that their land is being trespassed and nobody's got time to listen to them?
Well, they said they've just come into the office. They'd like to inform us and our staff about what's going on in the Brazilian jungle. And I've told them that we're very busy. Please leave my office. Sorry. They locked themselves in my office. Huh? Please leave. These papers are confidential, and my office is private property. I saw somebody picking up and looking at my papers.
Have you got all the other offices? Lock the other offices right now. I've got a...
We want you to follow up on it and say, hey, maybe these guys have got something there. Let's read up on it. Or maybe you are fully aware of all these facts and you are prepared. You are prepared to just brush it all under the carpet.
My advice is if you're going to put it in.
Please can you leave? And that's
my property. No, it's not. It's one of our leaflets, actually.
Oh, well, please, you can...
Thank you. That's so kind of you. Thank you.
Okay.
Not saying anything.
That material was sent to Undercurrents, an alternative news network, and was then distributed to a wider audience. Following the publicity, TradeLink, the mahogany importers, have now entered into discussions with the protesters. Of course, it's all very well filming what you see, but what if no one takes any interest? In New York State, some teenagers decided to do something about a waste dump, which they claimed was leaking into the local water supply.
This is tributary 20 of the Shwangung Kill. Across the street a few years ago, it was tested by the DEC and the town's engineers. Our plan was to put together a video documentary to inform the public, to move politicians into action, and to attract some media attention to open up the story. Widespread criminal activity has led to the contamination of a major water supply, yet no one was doing anything about it.
Look, it's bubbling. Well, that's what usually toxic waste does.
When we want to cover it up, we might explode. A lot of the waste that entered the town of Wallkill municipal landfill came from Round Lake Sanitation and other companies owned by the Mangelli brothers. The Mangelli brothers are currently serving time for racketeering charges against them. Dutch Smith, a former landfill employee, told us that sometimes there was so much waste entering the landfill that the trucks would be lined up along this road.
But I tell you, there's thousands and thousands of tons of toxic waste in there, of anything you can name, from radioactive to hospital waste, you name it, it's in that landfill. And I know it's in there because I've buried lots of it.
The students did a lot of research over 2 years and made a video with their teacher. But although many local people were concerned, the local newspaper editor wasn't prepared to run the story.
We've asked the questions and we've done the research. We've been doing it for 1.5 years now, and still nobody wants to listen to us. We dropped the tape off at the Times Herald Record and nobody saw it.
I don't really want to see your tape. The point I made earlier, which I don't think you quite get, is that beliefs are not important. Verification is important. Reporting is important. It's not what you believe, it's what you can prove.
So they set out to prove their point, arranging for the state pathologist to test for toxic levels in the water. The pathologist had turned up and taken samples, but they were confiscated. At the second attempt, the students attracted a New York City news crew. The pathologist, that's the man in the blue shirt, again hit a problem with the local authorities.
Travel around the state. I've been here. You took my samples during the workday. I have a receipt. You don't want to hear about it? I'll show you the receipts.
Were there engineers
I was
here
here.
with you?
I was
Were the
here
engineers
in the
here with
time
you, sir?
span. I was
Sir,
here in the.
were the engineers here
Sir,
with you?
it was the time span
Mr. Stone,
of the day that you said
the
to be here.
engineers were
I
not
was
here.
here. I took samples.
Stone,
I got
we're
a
not gonna
receipt.
argue about this.
The
This is the
engineers
rules.
were not here because they left early
No, they
that
didn't,
day.
sir.
They left before
No, they didn't,
3
sir.
o'clock, and
No,
they
they
said,
didn't, sir.
yes, they did. I have a receipt with times.
Okay, sir.
From your police.
That's fine.
From
sir.
your police.
Sir, do you understand what I'm telling you?
I understand that you have
Fine.
something to cover up. You don't
Do you
want to see
understand what I'm
data
telling you, sir?
that is in contrast
Sir,
to
do you
you.
understand what I'm telling you?
No.
You don't understand.
I understand what you're saying. I am not accepting it until I hear something different from our law enforcement.
Then leave
All
the
this
problem.
does, I'll tell you,
Can you hear
is
me?
it interests me as
That's
to
very
why
good.
you're upset.
That's very good.
I'm going to look at this site harder than I would have
That's
otherwise.
your pleasure.
Because you seem to
As
have
long as my
something
engineers
to
are present,
cover up.
you can come here anytime you'd like.
Well,
You
get
have
your
to have-
engineers. I'm
No.
here.
Sir,
It's the work day.
it's Friday, it's 4 o'clock. I'm not calling engineers
4
on Long
o'clock
Island.
is work day for me.
Not to me, sir. You work on
Not
my
only
schedule.
that, your
This is my
engineers,
town.
no, I don't work on your schedule.
Well,
I'm the state
listen,
pathologist. If I
we're
want to
closing
take
the landfill.
samples, I look at it.
Sir, we're closing.
At 4?
That's right.
I've been here waiting for you.
Sir, we're closing. You're not taking any samples
We'll see.
today.
We'll see.
Get a court order and I'll honor it.
I want to look around if I don't
No,
take
sir.
samples.
You're not doing anything. You're leaving.
You're a problem.
Mr. Stone, this is private property. Unless you leave the site. You have a court order allowing you on it? No, sir. This property is owned by the town of Walkville.
That's property
Yes, sir. In your case, it's private. It's the town's property.
my case is private.
I'm telling you, you can't come on the site.
Jeff, stop doing that.
WWOR-TV, Channel 9 in Secaucus, New Jersey, ran a 7-minute story about the dump.
Back now with I-Team's Matthew Schwartz and the story of a toxic dump in Wallkill, New York.
State Assemblyman Maurice Hinchey, chairman of the Committee on Environmental Conservation, is investigating the alleged illegal dumping. The story might have been buried, like the hazardous waste, if not for a group of concerned kids.
But the news was more intrigued with the filmmakers than the dump. And even though it got onto TV, nothing was being done, so they carried on handing out copies of their film.
We gave a copy of our tape to Secretary Babbitt at a press conference with Congressman Hinchey. With the exception of Mr. Hinchey, we have had no help from elected officials that have been on our side. I was wondering if there's any way that you could help us.
My advice to you is keep after it.
So they kept after it and took it right to the top. President Clinton happily accepted the tape, but the students are still waiting for a reply. So maybe the easiest part of Guerilla TV is recording the evidence. But how do you get the right people to watch it? In Bolivia they have a solution. Make your own TV show and give it to the network for free. National television in Bolivia broadcasts in Spanish, but for 65% of the population, that's not their first language. If you want a TV show in Quechua, one of the two indigenous languages, you have to make it yourself. This video is their explanation of just how they do it.
Good morning, dear friends. We visited a project in Ayopaya where they are using tractors for the first time. Many times I have to film myself on camera, then run to prepare for the next take. We work many more hours than we get paid for. But in spite of the difficulties, Tarpui keeps going.
Sometimes we like to see if all the work we do is really worth it. So we go to the countryside and stop at some house to see if people are really watching our program. It's now 6:30 in the morning and the show is about to begin.
Good morning. Are you watching TV?
Yes, I'm watching.
Can we see? Do other channels have a program like ours?
No, they put on exercise shows, programs that are for rich women, not for people like us.
Tubhoy goes out at 6:30 in the morning because that's the only slot national TV stations will give them.
Excuse me, do you watch Richarina?
No.
Do you have a TV?
Yes, but I have no time.
But it's not just farming hints and tips. Tubhoy also seeks to promote the Quechuan musical tradition.
We're looking for a location to shoot a music video. We're from the TV program Richarina. Can we use your house to shoot a music video?
Okay, why not?
Now, what do you do if no one will give you a television slot at all? Well, if you're in the United States of America, you could sue every station that bans you and then use the money to make even more programmes. That's certainly a funding policy pursued by nationalist television, the TV wing of the American nationalist movement. This programme shows their border protest against Mexican immigration.
Hello and welcome to Airlink, the voice of the marching majority. I'm your host, Richard Barrett, and our topic today is wetbacks.
Airlink began as a half-hour public cable access show in Mississippi. It now shows as a regular feature on 60 stations nationwide.
I figure it's time the white man starts to gather together like this more often and help fight what is our American right and what's white and stand up for America, because if we back down, there's nobody else behind us. Educate the children, their children, and just keep America strong the way it was born and meant to be.
There's a place for Mexicans. It's called Mexico. There's a place for Americans called America. So when we call that name, let's be reminded that what an American is. Language from Plymouth Rock, morality from the Pilgrims, work ethic from the pioneer, government from the people. That's the American way of life. Lift it up, let it stand, defend it. It's worth carrying on. That's what these folks at the border say, and let's listen to them.
I just want everybody to know what happens if you look throughout history when white man finally gets pissed off. And throughout history, when we finally get pissed off, there's nobody stops us. We're gonna have to do it again.
Just remind me of another slogan. How's this one sound? This land is our land. This land is our land. This land is our land.
The camera that Orwell expected in our houses was a camera hidden in the television set, a two-way TV. Perhaps the real danger in the television you're watching now is just how one-way it is. But if you do want to do more than just change channels, Guerilla Television does give you a chance to send a message back. As a form of protest, it's got little competition. It's permanent, it's powerful, it demands attention, and it is cheap. It's one of the few ways to show others the world from your point of view. Can you really change the world with a camera? Well, there must be something to it. After all, there are a lot of people who'd rather you didn't do it at all.
All right, she points like...
Let go of her. I'll tell you what, if you don't turn that fucking video camera off...
He's punching him! He punched him! He punched him! We are fucking animals! We're sat here and you come in and start laughing!
tightening this handcuff very tightly in an effort